Now, I do apologize if you hear a strange sound and the audio is because I have fans on because my air conditioner is not working, so I turn on the air fans, and that's the sound. I do apologize. Hopefully, you don't hear it. But besides that, if you hear what's going on in the animated community, the new Canon had dropped, and a lot of people has a lot of different opinions because it's not looking as good or interesting because a couple years later around 2024 they dropped sort of test animated footage of the Cat in the Hat movie, but the only problem is it doesn't look the same and it looks very different. Even that, I have to make this clear, this is pretty normal. This is not the first or last time when you see sort of test footage or sort of kind of test images of the original idea looking so different, because usually they have sort of what if scenarios, how you look this sort of art style, and they go to the next step, do sort of test animation, do the next step, revamp it, polish it, and they just make it how it looks like. But even that said, the Warner Brothers style of Cat in the Hat doesn't look good. Even they actually polished it a couple of times. And this is the thing a lot of cartoon fans are basically having a conversation what actually happened. In fact, I found a sort of issue question on X that a person called Trace posted on his X account saying, why doesn't not look at the final product of the original animated sort of tent screaming? Even that Tesk, he is sort of a animator, but doesn't mean he has the answer, because let's face it, it's almost like saying pick your own poison, because animated projects that doesn't have one single person working on it. Usually we like the credit of that one specific person who has the mirror image, the Hollywood stylist. Like, I think one of the big examples, Stan Lee, the guy who technically created Marvel, but more like he kind of saved Marvel. All the character he doesn't own, but he does get a lot of credit. But even that, Stanley says, yeah, I may create some of the characters, but it's a team effort. And that is true. This is the reason why sometimes you get a little confused who created what, just to give you a good general idea how this sort of process works. Now, one of the commentators is also a kind of animator, did a little research wondering French Fisher, because it's sort of their test footage, and you find out interesting information because this person who basically dropped his name and looking in LinkedIn basically was one of the kind of site directors now, where it's not just him, other different people basically what dropped back in 2022 2023 after they revamped Warner Brothers Studios logo and changed a little bit about the company. I'm guessing they want to get rid of some animators probably getting paid too much and cut them off. At least that's my theory. But also they also theorize this is part of the reason why the animation went a little bit different direction. In a way, it's true, even that he keeps showing more interesting facts about some of the animators who used to work on doing this time and left, because for some apparent reason, usually it's because they changing a lot of things, and they have a co-director, a director who left also, and I think also a writer. So you could see a lot of people leaving this project, and you see why you have this sort of strange kind of like Illumination vibe to the new version of Cat in the Hat movie. Because let's face it, watch that trailer, you'd be like wondering who made this. It feels something like Illumination, but it's One Brothers. But why? Of course, before I answer that question, my name is Richo. I like to talk about animation, not just animation, the reviews, first impression, cartoon theories, and sometimes, if I have some spare time, cartoon breaking news. Of course, you like how it's going, you like to help my channel, pull like, comment, and subscribe. That's the only thing you need to do. If not, that's fine. We do. Thank you. Because of you, I'm getting close to my main goal of 2,000 subscribers. And yes, I'm getting close every single day because of people like you. People pull like, comment, and share. Thank you. Now let's start with this sort of this breakout of what happened Cat in Hat trailer. Now, my honest opinion that you have to understand, Hollywood is sort of not creative. But to be fair, you probably heard that over 100 times with different YouTubers giving their own opinion. Not YouTube, Twitter, Instagram account, whatever you follow, whatever trend or website, they usually do the same thing. But to be honest, they never really were basically creative to begin with. The people who were creative is basically the directors or writers. But Hollywood is more like anime. It sounds strange, but go with me here because I like to compare how anime, or at least Japan, how they do anime in Hollywood. It's pretty the same thing, just one does 2D, the other one does live action. But you have to understand how anime works exactly like Hollywood. They do not create new things. They do a little bit here or there, depends of the sort of project, director, writer, or who's in charge. But usually they like to play safe. This is the reason why you see anime always copy and paste manga to making anime adaptations. It's because it's safe. You will get your money back. Even if it failed, you still have a chance to get most of your money back while being broke. In Hollywood, does basically the same thing. They do try more different stuff than anime, but just give you an idea what happened here at Cat in Hat. Because let's face it, it does look like Illumination. In fact, they have so many ideas. In fact, someone down below commented, I feel they breaking down so similar to like Illumination. They kind of destroyed the story because Illumination has a habit of being really basic and simple, but never really telling good stories. They good feel movies, but that said, it's almost feel you could say you're watching TikTok in the big screen if you're watching Illumination. It depends on you, how you felt, but you can see it because 100% sure executive want to copy Illumination or copy a success of it. This is the reason I said that Hollywood is not really original. In fact, Hollywood follow trends, and I feel they want to copy Illumination. It feels exactly. You see the whole trailer. You see even the thing 1 and thing 2, and the rest of the things feels kind of replacements of the minions or their own version of it. And the whole story feels kind of bland in other words. I mean, I kind of understand where they're going with it, but not really. It's just sort of a little disappointing. But other than that, a lot of fans of the community do point it out. It feels like they want to copy or recopy similar to Illumination or try something different, and they do different, that means they copy paste someone else's homework. And that's kind of true. I mean, let's face it. But someone did comment something kind of interesting is that probably they want to try something super different. That's why the test footage looks different of the final product. But doesn't mean it will be well executed in other words. Or maybe some executive give some points to change a lot of different things, and yet it just didn't work out. Because let's face it, it's the team going back and forth figuring out what it's supposed to be, because you can't really share blame the director or writer. It's the whole team. In fact, you could say maybe one of the biggest issue is the higher ups, because the higher ups strangely is the one who almost destroyed the project sometimes, because they want something modern and hip, once more copy someone else's homework. But the only problem is the things they copy takes too long to do in animation? Because I hear a lot of stories about animators frustrated with the higher ups. I think one of the most infamous one is probably Gimli's sort of Pie movie, that some of the executives want kind of like a new pop star songs, like fresh new, and Gimli looked at them saying you can't put pop kind of like a new songs of that specific year, because when the movie come out, it come out like outdated. In other words, that's why you see some movies feels, especially animated movies, feel completely outdated Pacific songs or trends that it just doesn't work because animation takes too long. And this is basically pretty normal because some executives put their foot down and say, I say what I want, put it in the movie because they're their bosses. But at the same time, they're also the business people. And they are very important for one specific thing. They know what's trending, what's not trending, but doesn't mean they understand the business of animation. This is the reason why a lot of animators, they go to college, they get taught of business. It's like, yeah, you kind of need to know the business to pitch your own animated projects or understand how executives think sometimes, to work with them the right way, to understand, yeah, I get it, but you counter that saying, if we do, will be completely outdated, like an old meme. If you don't mean older or more cringier, if you put it in the film nowadays. In fact, one of the biggest complaints of Cat in the Hat is that it doesn't feel like a Dr. Seuss film. I mean, it kind of does with the visuals, some of the color designs, but they never can copy the original design of Dr. Seuss. The only one it kind of did is Green Eggs and Ham, the Netflix original TV series. It's the only one who actually did kind of justice, even that they expanded that story so much that it could be unrecognizable. But no, like Green Eggs and Ham feels something that Dr. Seuss can work. Also, people did complain that can never copy Dr. Seuss type of writing because it's kind of strange not hearing rhyme. In a way, yes, but at the same time, that is more difficult to do. In fact, that could be more unknowing. The only way to make that work officially is sort of doing like Gandhi style, very few words, use the art style to do all the heavy lifting. Like, you have to basically do sort of Gandhi, sort of the rubber horse era style, less talking, more reaction and movement to give that punch. When they start rhyming, little rhyme they do, it hits harder in other words. But once more, it's up to your sort of interpretation in other words. Now, one of the major complaints I see sort of scrolling on this sort of question is that thing one, thing two is something that a lot of people have issue with. Some people are saying it feels something like AI with minions. In a way, that's kind of true. Of course, not disrespect the animators, because that's not the one who, small chance they didn't decide this decision. It almost feels this executive, or be more interesting, look like kind of cute and adorable, different sizes so you can sell it. Once more, you kind of have to agree with the executive because they're your bosses, but at the same time, they understand the business of selling stuff, but not the business of animation. Like, it kind of looks kind of terrible, to be honest with you. I kind of wish they chose just one design of the things and that's it, but it's sort of your own sort of interpretation in other words, and it's kind of true. I mean, that's basically sort of the few things they talk about. Some of the comics, some people is talking about what you expect is sort of the test footage. The test footage usually does not look the same of the original. Sometimes a lot of people have different ideas. It never works out in other words, and etc. Just pick your own poison, because there are kind of a lot of different reasons why a film fails. Sometimes the executive, sometimes the director and writer cannot agree, or sometimes it's just the writers, they go work with it, they just have different ideas, and a lot of different things. Usually it's one thing or everything at once, but it's all about your sort of your interpretation, what your theory is, if why this completely fails, at least the art style. But I have to say one thing, I am sort of interested to see this is completely train wreck or not, because how it looks like it depends on you. Honestly, I'm not sure myself, but I am curious to see what is the final product, because at the very end it's trailers. That's what I mean, like this sort of team effort, or maybe one person did something wrong, like the team who promotes the movies, because I have noticed the people who specifically sell and package the trailers to sell the movies to the audience, is their responsibility to make the movie understand what it is, to grab your attention, to convince you to watch it. And sometimes they are the blame. But once more, it's a team effort. Maybe also it's just a bad movie, and the people who sell the product to convince people to go in theaters, they couldn't do anything with it because the movie is sort of bad, or they meant for little kids. Probably that is one of the answers. Maybe they forced to make it super dumbed down because they wanted to sell this for 3 to 5 year olds. Maybe there is the demographic, because sometimes that's the truth, because they're just selling for little kids, not the fans of animation, not the family film. It's just for small little kids so they could buy the toys. And usually that is sometimes the goal, like the Minions, like they just want to sell merch, and that's the angle. But you can do that and also make the movie good. Is that it takes a lot of effort and work, but at the same time, people do point out, maybe because David Zaslav cut out all the companies' animation projects, because let's face it, he's the one who rebranded, kill every single project. You're wondering why did not kill off this movie, because it's sort of obvious, it doesn't look good. People point out maybe they kind of finish it, and David says like I can't cut any more animation projects. If I do, the IRS knocked into my door and arrest me, because it seems to me they doing sort of sketchy things, and probably decided to maybe give out this to the movie. It's one of the possibilities. Honestly, I don't know. I said it a couple of times. Is to pick your own poison, because it could be any theory, it could be one, it could be everything. But I don't know how you feel about it. What do you think about it? How you feel about the financial product of a Cat in a Hat? Tell me down below. Let me know. I got nothing else to say. Just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.